Men today are significantly weaker than their fathers and grandfathers. Average grip strength for men has dropped nearly 20% since the 1980s, and testosterone levels have been falling about 1% every year for decades. These aren't just numbers. Grip strength predicts longevity, vitality, and quality of life. You're a high performer. You've excelled in business, but your body feels weak. It feels fragile. It's sore. The constant sitting, the long hours, the stress has left you prone to injuries. It's given you aches that are slowing you down. You need a system that fits into your life, a way to gain strength that you actually enjoy. The fitness industry tells you to fix this with endless hours in the gym, punishing cardio, or copying what the 20-year-old gym bros do. But that only leads to more pain, burnout, and frustration. In the next 23 minutes, I'm going to reveal a simple, intelligent training system that builds strength, prevents injuries, and fits into a busy executive schedule in just 3 30-minute sessions a week. This is the Simple Strength System. This is episode 4 of our 6-part mini-series where I'm showing you how to build a $1 million body without hours in the gym, without long boring cardio or extreme diets, and while still being able to have a pint of the weekend or take a client out for a curry. Not have to worry. To be able to enjoy life, which is what should all be about ultimately. Now, we've talked about many things in the previous episodes. The first one was an overview, second one was hydration, third was nutrition, and this one is one of my favorites, is training or exercise. But it never used to be. And that's because I, like you, maybe, I'm 43 years old. I found that when I first started going to the gym in my 30s, I would get injured a lot. And I couldn't understand that. I thought, okay, I'm here at my desk. I would either be sitting, or standing at a standing desk. And then I'd go to the gym, I'd do that. I'd go for then a run maybe, or cycle a little bit. And I was getting the same niggling injuries in my shoulders, my hips. Lower back was always sore. I couldn't figure out why. But I'm going to show you why now in a second. And if you've experienced the same thing, this will all be clear to you. So, first things first. This is where we spend most of our time. As a founder, executive, entrepreneur, you're generally either sitting or standing. Now, there's this third option here, which I'm doing, which is perching. I'm on a stool here, if I can show you. Let me just show you. It's actually a good option. It's an adjustable stool, and it means that I can perch on the end of it. But either way, whatever option we've chosen here, we are stationary. And if you look at our spine, the bottom part of the spine is thicker than the top part. It gets thicker as you go down. That means that it's more dense, it's heavier. So whenever we get back pain, notice how it's always lower back pain. It's really never middle or upper. And then we go into a gym and we end up, you can see this person in the middle is kind of half squatting. We do squats. Right? People often ask like, oh, how do you test someone's strength? They say, well, what do you squat? What do you bench? But this squatting movement is basically just sitting up and down. Right? And then we go into a gym and sit up and down. So it's the same movement. Look at the person on the right-hand side. His arms, they're out in front. Okay, they're not overhead or behind him. This is the same motion as a bench press or a push-up, which is a really common upper body exercise. So our body is doing the same movement over and over again, but we are a skeleton with our shoulder, it's like this chap over here, our shoulders and our hips are both ball and socket joints. So they're supposed to move in a 360 manner, as close as possible. And if we don't do that, we end up injured. So let me bring you back to the whiteboard. Now, on the whiteboard here, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and just take you to, this is quite a boring image, so I'm not going to spend long on this at all. because if I find it boring, you'll definitely find it boring. There's 3 planes we can move in, right? So when you do your bench press, you're just moving in the sagittal plane, okay, forwards and backwards. But we have the coronal plane as well and the transverse plane. That means left to right and a twisting action. So our body needs all 3 of these movements to be healthy. So when you go into a gym, simply put, because this is the simple strength system after all, you should be doing, and in fact I'm going to write this down so that it's easy for you to follow. Let's put this to the side here. Right, a horizontal push, a horizontal pull. I'll break this down in 1 second. A vertical push, vertical pull, a squat, and a hinge. And for bonus points, some sort of rotation. Right, but this is kind of advanced. But we do get into that in my programs when you've done it a while. Now, with the horizontal push, as I mentioned before, you've got a bench press. That's the most common one, or push-up would do the job as well. A horizontal pull is a pull-up, or you could do a pull-down using a cable machine. Then you have a vertical push, which would be like a military press or overhead press, OHP. You know, that's one where they lift it overhead. A vertical pull. I've realised I made a mistake here. So this is the pull-up, vertical pull. Pull-up is a vertical pull, whereas a horizontal pull would be like a bent-over row. Bent over row. And then a squat. Now, a squat, I can't squat. I really struggle to do a squat, and that's because genetics, the fact that I was not athletic at all when I was growing up, sitting too much as well. But so instead of doing a squat, you could do like a lunge is a one-legged squat. So lunging variations, and there's endless amounts of lunging variations. A hinge, you're probably familiar with the deadlift. But anything where essentially your knee is staying relatively straight, it's not bending, and you're folding at the hip, folding forward to pick something up. And then your rotation, well, there's many types of rotations you can do, but this is also known as a twist. Okay, it's the same thing, equals a twist, right? So these are all the movements we can be doing, dare I say, well, that we should be doing in a gym. But what we end up doing is just normally a horizontal push, the first one, and normally a squat, right? Because most people can't do a pull-up. And I actually teach that, and it's a whole course in it if you were on my program. But anyway, so these movements are going to bulletproof your body for life. Lifting more weight doesn't make you stronger. Balance makes you stronger. And knowing that your body is anti-fragile. So that not only can you climb over a wall, jump over a fence, but you can run, you can sprint, you can get up and down from the floor easily if you want to play with your kids without worrying about hurting yourself. That's what strength is. And that only comes through a simple system, right, that you follow easily. But when you follow a system, it needs to be something that fits into your work schedule, right, and your life schedule. So I'm going to share my screen with you here and just break down how we can put this into a week. So we follow 3 times 30-minute sessions. And I'll tell you after this why we do only 30 minutes. And it's really important. It involves a graph, which is very exciting. So how I like to space it out, let me just go with a different colour just because life's too short, too boring. I might even go rainbow colour. Do you know what? The kids love this one. So let's go rainbow colour. Right. Monday is one day, okay? Then Wednesday is our second day, day 2. And Friday is day 3. We rest Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend. When we work out, we make sure that by the end of the week, obviously we can't do everything in one session if you want to keep 30 minutes. By the end of the week, through Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all of this is covered. All of these movements. So we might do, let's say, horizontal push, horizontal pull, vertical push on a Monday, vertical pull, squat, hinge on a Wednesday, and then we may layer in, okay, horizontal pull, vertical pull, and a hinge again on the Friday, and then the ones we didn't do that Friday, we do the following Friday that they missed out. So you'll rotate them constantly, right? Because all the body cares about, it doesn't care like what the equipment you use is. It doesn't care about what the name of the exercise is. It just cares that the appropriate force is being put through the body in a balanced way. So if we're strong from every angle, we're less likely to injure ourselves. Now, with this, it is best, and some people are not going to like this, to exercise. This represents AM and PM. AM, right? We should be exercising in the AM. I'll tell you why in a second. And this is really important, in particular for high performers, people that rely on their cognitive ability to make a living. So as a man, we operate on a 24-hour clock. Women operate on a 28-day clock. Meaning, because of the menstrual cycle, some days they're going to feel very different to others because of hormones. This is natural. This is good. Whereas a man, we're going to feel different throughout the day. So if you notice, like men, for example, will often feel sleepy around 4 p.m. And that's because our testosterone is plummeting. It's going down after lunch as well. Okay, which affects testosterone after you eat. So if that's the lowest, going for a workout at 5 p.m. isn't a great idea, is it? If anything, we should be exercising when our testosterone is the highest. So you can probably guess when that's going to be. You've heard of the term morning wood. Sorry to be crass, but let me show you this little chart. Testosterone over a 24-hour cycle. Now, with this cycle, it's really important to, as a disclaimer, acknowledge that everyone is an individual. Okay, let me get rid of this here. But generally, this is the pattern that our body follows. So our testosterone, I'm really enjoying the rainbow thing here, so I'm going to stick with the rainbow. Around 4 a.m. it starts to increase. And I actually wake up around 4 a.m. Maybe that's for having little kids, but I'm just used to it now. So I naturally start to wake up 4 a.m. But it peaks around 8 a.m. Okay? And then by the time you get to 4 p.m., it's gone to its lowest point. Now, at this point here at the start, okay, this is when testosterone is going up, but cortisol is also going up. And cortisol is often known as a negative hormone, but it's only if it's in excess, right? And in fact, when you drink coffee, you spike your cortisol as well, which is why when you have a coffee, you're like, all right, it's time to go. I need to do something. So our natural cortisol goes up around this time, which is what causes our body heat to increase. So as the body heat goes up, this is what wakes us up. In order to go to sleep, we need a cool body temperature. This is why it's not a hot bath that makes you sleepy. It's your body cooling down after the hot bath that makes you sleepy, right? So the opposite is true in the morning. When your body heats up, that's what wakes you up. So you should be, ideally, working out anytime between 4 a.m., this window here basically, 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Workout. This is the ideal time, this little window. And then when you go into your 9 a.m. meeting, which might be about here somewhere, I haven't decided I'm doing X or no, so I'll just do a blob. your morning meeting here, where you need to be on the ball. You need to be one step ahead of everyone else. You're speaking in front of people. You're giving reports, etc. You want your brain to be firing, right? And that is what a morning workout is going to do. This should be a non-negotiable. So although we're working out 3 days a week, the days you're not working out, you should be doing a very brisk walk in the morning times, right? And you could be listening to music as well while you're doing that. But working out in the morning is better. Now, if you can't work out in the morning, working out in the evening is better than not working out at all. But optimal time is in the morning. So let's. I promised I would take you through the exciting graph about why our workouts are 30 minutes in length and not 45 an hour. Now, you may have heard of a chap called Mike Mentzer, and if you haven't, it doesn't even matter. But he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he wasn't as commercially successful or appealing, I guess, because he didn't get into Hollywood at all. But Mike Mentzer talked in great detail, he's a former Mr. Olympian, about the minimal effective dose, right? In other words, what can I do to affect change, but that's not going to tap into my recovery and hinder my rest? And this is where this curve is inspired by. So it's an inverse correlation between time and intensity. So if we look here, okay, let's do this. This is I'm going to switch off the rainbow now. I'm going to go to let's go with black, okay, because I'm talking about a serious topic here. So so this is time across the bottom here, and this is intensity. So if we say, for example, let me shift this down a little bit. So 1 second. Right. This is 1 hour. Oh, sorry. This is 1 hour. This is 2 hours. Right. And here you got 30 minutes and 1 hour 30 here. Okay. So, yeah. Right. And here in intensity. Now, with intensity, we have here, as we exercise, it starts to go down. There's inverse correlation. And I'm going to draw a little line here across here. So on this side, you have maximal gains. And on the other side, below the red dotted line, the dotted line, you have minimal gains. So if you're a bodybuilder, and sorry, I should probably, this is minimal gains, or you could call it marginal gains as well. If you're a bodybuilder, then this bottom half, max gains, this bottom half is going to matter to you, because your job is to be as big, lean as possible. So staying in the gym a little bit longer, those minimal marginal gains will make a difference between becoming first and people knowing that you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, and coming second and knowing you're Mike Mentzer or not knowing you at all, right? So it can drastically change your life and be the difference between winning and losing. But for people that have an actual job, sorry, bodybuilders, because it's not really a sport, is it? Let's be honest. People who have an actual job and they have a family and responsibilities, all they want is enough effort to stimulate growth. That's it. And that's why, like these gym bros, these bodybuilders, they spend hours and hours in the gym. Okay, fair enough. Like again, it's that's their living. But if you spend hours in the gym, where's time for everything else, right? And you don't have the resources to be doing ice baths all the time, or have a team of massage therapists to look after you. Right. So as busy executives, all we need, and I'm going to break it down for you here, is break it down. Where are we going to put it? Let's go over here. This is quite full. This is a simple system. So we know three times a week. I'm going to sum this up now. 3 times 30 per week. PW. That's the first one. Now, on top of that, we want to do 2 sets per exercise. Right. Ideally, 8 to 10 reps per set. And finally, we want to make sure that we're going to failure. So all that means, and this one here is the one that most, especially middle-aged men, neglect. They go through the motions. They're like, okay, I've done 10 reps now, so I'll just stop. But the 8th, the 9th, the 10th rep, whichever one is your last one, you should be shaking like a shitting dog. You should be quivering, because this is where change happens. 1 set is good for maintenance, right? But we need 2 sets per exercise to stimulate growth. And if we combine all of this, right, this system here, and we do so we do that, and we work out, oh, come on now, move. We do that, we'll work out in the morning time, recap here, and we are, what else? We're doing 3 days a week with those days off in between as rest. And we're covering all of these bases, all these movements. You are going to find that not only will you look better, but you'll feel better, i.e. injuries will go. And I have countless case studies that show this. Right? People who had to stop running in their 40s, who can now run freely, do their 5Ks and more. They can play golf easily. Right? These are going to be the dads. They'll be able to walk their kids down the aisle, right? Their daughter down the aisle, play golf with their son. And that's what we want to work towards. And then when we become granddads, we can play with our grandkids. Because we only deteriorate because we stop training. Right? And we only injure ourselves because we train in a way that isn't intelligent, which is what the system is. So that is the simple strength system. That is really the nuts and bolts of how to maintain a healthy body, right? Regardless of your age. That's what we need to be doing. So the next one, that was building muscle. Okay, now the next episode is how to lose fat the easiest way possible, right? Which is going to be up here. That's our walking blueprint. Putting this sexiness into steps. I wanted a better word there, but I couldn't think of one. So that's it.